Hello, Adam Rayner, Slingshot World TV. That's the face of Mr. Frank Wass reflected in a very dusty trophy. Frank, we just found this underneath your sort of bit of furniture over there where it's been ever since you won it, yes?
Yes. I have no desire to display trophies. I'm not a trophy hunter or collector. I enjoy the shoots and the comps, but I enjoy it for the people I meet along the way, that's all.
And that wasn't just like a target thing, that's the Tic Tac Challenge.
Yeah, that was the Tic Tac Challenge at Solihull. Yes, that is this year, that was last year, 2018.
And that's the one where you have to hit a Tic Tac how far away?
I don't know, 10, 12 metres maybe.
And how long did it take you to hit it?
I think I got on my third shot.
Awesome. And just in my hand here, the Bungay Catapult. You live quite close to Bungay.
Not that far, 15, 20 miles down the road.
And this was a catapult of your youth?
Yeah, this is not the first catapult I ever had, but it's one of the first. It's definitely my most treasured catapult because it was my late father's.
Oh wow.
Whether he had it when he was a lad or not, I don't know, but I can remember it all my lifetime, over 50 years.
That's awesome. And so many things on this table. We've just been through all the stuff, and don't worry about the phone dinging. They're going to have to wait, bless them. You've got loads of Milbrons, not because you collect them, but just because you possessed them through the years and kept getting more. And would that be because of the collet fixing breaking and you needed to reband, or? No,
it's just you pick one up here and there, and even now to this day, if I see a Milbro, I sometimes potter around old auction rooms. If I see a Milbro, I have to have it.
So you fibbed about not being a collector, right to me.
No, because,
it's a collector's thing.
It's not a collector's
Buying
thing. I just have to have it. It's just too nice not to have.
So
this was one of the original ones that goes back. I used that when I was at school. That one.
That's what the paint was. There was another schoolboy naughtiness about one of these. Show us that one, Frank.
This one.
Yes.
Well,
that's your sawn off, isn't it?
That's my sawn off. And although I've got fair size hands, it still fits the hand quite comfortably. But that was sawn off.
Let's have a little sifty there for the camera.
It can fit in my pocket of my blazer quite comfortably. Even with the nice big square elastic on, scrunched up, it fitted nicely into my pocket at school. There was lots of stuff to shoot before and after school. And
this is. That was the classic square elastic that you've had all that time as well. What is that ridiculous harpoon stuff that it was resting on?
Well, when we started to develop and shoot catapults a bit more again, it was better than the square stuff. So you break your arm, but believe it or not, I used to use that.
On a Milbro?
On a Milbro. And I was launching 14mm lead with it.
Holy heck. Absurd.
It done some damage when it got there.
I'm sure.
It wasn't very pleasant to use.
Tell us about these other catapults. There's you said the rarest, a PFS, the only one you ever actually made.
It's this PFS.
Yes.
I'm not a maker. I admire the work of makers, and I got myself an aluminium blank, and the wood on it is actually a yew tree that was felled in my garden of my last house. So it's a piece of wood from a tree out my garden, and I got bored one day and decided to make myself a PFS.
Wow.
And this was the result. It's a bit thick, it's a bit chunky. I might take it to bits one day and remake it. In fact, I probably will. But that is the only catapult I've ever made in my life.
Well, the only Frank Wass.
That's the only Frank Wass original.
Yes. And tell us about those little Chinese ones as well, because there's an interesting story in there that, well, it's called the Lion's Mouth, and anyone who's actually had a go on one ends up raving about them.
These little Lion's Mouth frames,
yes,
I actually think are the best usable value for money frame I've ever handled.
The fact they're only a $5 out of China helps, but it's not just the cheap. I mean, if they were 30 quid, you'd still be buying it and raving about it, yes?
They are such an ergonomic, easy to use. There's just, everything is right about that frame. The way the bands are tied, the sight system, the comfort in the hand. The only thing for me that I perhaps don't like, I've gone off of the bigger, chunkier ergo frames. I very seldom use them. I've gone back to what it always was. Nice thin frames like this Axiom Champ, like the Milbros, and this one is a little bit, it's not too chunky, but it's chunky.
It loses some of the pocketability, as it were.
Yeah, but as a user, that is as good as any frame.
Were there people at the event in Italy shooting with those? Lion's Mouth style?
I can't recall anyone using them, but they used very, very similar frames.
Yes.
And when we went to Italy, we certainly learned it was a masterclass in education in catapults.
It certainly was.
Chinese.
It certainly was. The UK scene has gone with more target arranged type things with smaller bands and stuff. And Jan Nowak, who went from is he Slovak? Is he
Czech Republic?
Czech Republic. Oh, from the Czech Republic. Sorry. He wore the Slingshot World logo on his shirt and basically met some folks. And what's in front of you to your right?
Yeah, just this week I've taken a rival of some bands that Jan has sent me to test. And
he says have a sample, sends you 4 rolls.
He's very, very good, genuine man, he's Jan, and he wants a very
serious
honest
pull-through test.
He wants an honest opinion of these bands. So I've been trying them, and I've been using Jan's pouches, these nice pretty blue ones.
Oh, let's have a look. Right.
2 sizes.
Super close up.
Nice small one.
Oh, macro. It's probably got the kanji the wrong way up.
Yeah. They do feel a little bit stiff initially, but they 50 shots and they run in nicely with no signs of stretch or anything detrimental on them. Very nice pouches.
So this is a microfiber type product.
Yeah. So Jan's marketing these bands. Well, I wish him well with it.
And he's definitely using your good self by way of beta testing, I take it.
Yep, I'm enjoying testing them.
Yes.
It's always nice to test new products. That's one of the great things with Slingshots.
Can I nick some when I go home, Mr. Watson?
You can indeed.
Thieving,
it's one of the great things with Slingshots.
Yes.
There's just so much stuff that you can try. I'm not a person that shoots one frame all the time.
I like that.
For me, the fun is trying different frames, different bands, different cuts. Everything there is. It's like a big kiddie in a sweet shop.
Oh, you make me feel so happy about that, because you've got the purist of Mark Clark who says, I know my cut, and this is what I want, this is the band of choice. And yet you're looking at your bag there's a bunch of other frames in there and all the different elastics hanging out. It's like a bag of jelly babies. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
All sorts of goodies. And of course, some genuine ash, not sycamore, forks that you've got there as well.
Yeah. I had to make this one about 3 years ago because they have a competition at the Andover shoot for.
It has to be bark on.
Has to be bark on. So I went out one day and cut myself an ash fork, and it's a chunky thing. It's a bit of a cannon of a frame, really.
Yes,
and then I decided to go lighter with this one, which. It's a perfectly usable little frame, particularly now we've got the benefit of the good quality Chinese bands where we can use very light draws and thin tapers and still produce much faster velocities than ever we could with TheraBand Gold.
Which is astonishing, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
TheraBand Gold is what made it all happen. But of course they don't want to acknowledge us because of potentially getting sued.
Yeah.
Whereas in China they don't do a lot of suing each other, do they, in China?
No. One of the things these are ash. One of my pet hates, and I see it all the time on the internet, is people marketing ash cups, ash frames, and they're not the sycamore. And I'm a country person, and sycamore is not really much use for anything in my book.
Ash is what they make cricket bats with.
A willow, well, a handle.
A willow, yes, there's
willow.
More than one, is yes. That was a terrible line, of course. The willow is a classic thing from British cricket. They refer to a willow. What a useless wood reference that was from Rayner.
I think chair legs were often made of ash.
It's a very important word in all directions. It just shows my ignorance.
It is so strong for its thickness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Makes that lovely noise. Frank, thank you so much.
Not at all.
This is a sort of access all areas. Mr. Frank was Slingshot Aristocracy in the UK. And it has to be said, one of just 3 people who totally impressed the heck out of a certain Mr. Mark Barnett, who came to a shoot a couple of years ago and had all these plans for, and bless him, we just lost him. It's all a bit sad. I remember you being quite surprised that he'd make quite such an impression on him.
Yes, very much so. I only met him once. I found it fascinating, interesting talking to him, and We yapped about this and yapped about that, and I'm sorry to hear of his passing.
It's awful, isn't it? Bit of history there, alongside also that there medal. What was that, Frank?
This here.
Yes.
This was for the CLA Game Fair. Well, 1 year. I was very lucky. I won it 2 years running.
Oh, that's luck. Yeah, that's absolutely just only luck.
I can remember my scores and I can remember the targets.
That's not luck. It's luck every time a bat hits a ball, if that's luck.
We shot 9.5 still, and we had to use like the barn. I've never shot them before. The barnet.
Keep it in place for me to film there, Frank. Sorry, lovely.
The barnet type slingshot, and it was the red, white, and blue targets that everyone's practicing on now.
Yes.
And we shot the 7 balls, and I won it the first year with a score of 68 out of 70.
Ooh.
And I won it the second year with a score of 67 out of 70.
Dude.
Which I was quite proud of, because I used to shoot totally instinctive in those days.
Yes. Actually, there was one last thing. I was about to sign off. Where is that torque? You were saying, I was like, I'll put it away. I mean, such an idiot. There's a simple shot torque in your bag. And there was one particular thing about, mostly instinctual, but it was to do with how you're now happy to use a sight, and in particular, your mate who had a bunch of paint for putting on mole traps so we wouldn't get run over in the dark. Where's the torque? Has it been?
The torque is not there, Mr. Rayner.
Oh no! Well, don't fret. Always going to the drawer there. Let's get a bit closer and monitor these bits and bobs. Here we go. It's live, I tell you. To heck with editing. You want to see these catapults?
This torque.
This torque here.
And this is a proper simple shot torque, not a fake.
Such a bloody thing. What have you done to it though? There's this little
spot
blob on here
of luminous paint.
And
well, I found myself in a situation of killing some rats in a chicken run for a friend, and they were quite lamp shy, so I could just see their outlines, and with the luminous paint, obviously it charges up under electric light, was a reference point, and I managed to trim all the rats up in the chicken run in the dark.
Awesome. There was one other thing.
You could use it for other things in the dark, I suppose.
Not that we'd ever condone thieving His Lordship's pheasants out of a tree.
Not
it's completely legal. 1 hour after and 1 hour before dawn.
Not being an ex-gamekeeper.
Or knowing anything about that at all. Tell us about, there was this one here with the canted tips. That was just that last thing that I'd remembered that you were telling me about, that's become a thing everywhere, and you basically just worked it out because of, well, it's physics, isn't it?
This frame was my custom build from Asa Wilson, Romney Custom Catapults. As a team member, he's very kindly made us all a frame. And this is roughly based on an Axiom Champ, although this has been modified to my own measurements. But one of my requests was for the slanted tips, and when I first mentioned this, I
have to grab it so the camera can see it.
It was discussed, and the reason I wanted it, well, there's lots of frames that have it now, but the less contact of band that you have with the fork tip, the better.
So if you hold it completely vertical, there's a very subtle slope, such that the I was trying to get in there. I don't think I've been able to show this, which I'm absolutely blithered here. The counted tips are, it's OTT, isn't it?
No, it's TTF.
Sorry, not OTT, TTF. I'm looking at TTF and saying OTT because I'm trying to think of two things at once. I'm bloody stupid. But if we actually get to the point where, let's get a bit of background, get to see the tip, and you can actually see there's a little slight, finally caught it, it's a little slight front to back, where the indent is, where the elastic would be tied on, is a bit higher than the back of it, so that, as you said,
when you draw your bands,
yes,
when you draw your bands, there's less band in contact with the fork tip. It was just an idea I had that might improve things. I don't see the point in having too much making contact. It's only friction.
That makes perfect sense, and it's something which has been incorporated into his designs ever since. Awesome. Well, apologies for bloody awful camera work. I'm just so excited and interested to be here that part of me is going, oh, look at all this now as well. And nagging Frank with questions in all directions and interruption all over the place, as ever. Mr. Watts, thank you so much, dear boy.
Not a problem at all.
It's fascinating being here and getting to talk to you about all your catapults and the history of stuff as well, and the stories you've got about your keepering days. Whoa. I think we're going to be probably just the first of a series of interviews with Mr. Frank Watts down the years.
I don't know, perhaps I am the only catapult enthusiast gamekeeper.
He's actually been a professional gamekeeper.
Yep.
As against it being an ironic joke.
Yeah, I was a gamekeeper most of my working life.
And absolutely loves catapults.
Yep.
which for me makes Mr. Frank Wass.
And despite the sometimes bad feeling between keepers and catapult enthusiasts,
Yes.
I've recently introduced a head keeper and under keeper catapults, and they both love them. I've given them one of these each. I've taught them how to use them, and they're destroying squirrels with them. And they've not got any animosity to anyone that uses a catapult, but you need to respect that it's their livelihood you're interfering with, and it's not the one or two that a catapult enthusiast might shoot. It's the 100 or so you disturb in the process.
Yes.
That's the problem, and nobody likes their livelihood interfered with.
Ain't nothing like an head to that. Frank, thank you so much. Well, I've had an absolutely lovely time visiting with Mr. Wass. And to say that I am jealous of where he lives is an understatement. Because I'm just looking out of the front of this man's domicile. He lives on a road, surrounded by game. Man never shoots anything in his garden, but there's pheasants. I've seen hares running around. There's British partridges out there as well, rather than just red-legged, isn't there? Oh, God. I'm just making my thumbs itch and the camera shake. Thanks, Frank. You're a star.